Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness for FantasyAlarm.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Let's take a look back at Week 12 with our Week 12 in review and start out with the number of 10, as in the number of quarterbacks that threw for 3 touchdown passes in Week 12. A lot of touchdown success. Now, 2 of those quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Matthew Stafford, threw for 5 touchdowns. Epic efforts. The third and fourth guys in 2 weeks to throw for 5 touchdowns. We just don't see that very often. Russell Wilson obviously had a fantastic game, 345 yards and the 5 scores. 30 passes all game. There's no volume there. There's still no elite weapons there, despite the extreme success of Doug Baldwin of late. The season-ending injury to Jimmy Graham doesn't help. Be careful with Russell Wilson expecting great things, though he's playing very good football. And Matthew Stafford playing better. That's good to see. Weapons there. They've had a hard time with the offensive line. Had a hard time establishing the run. But it looks like things might finally be turning up for the Detroit Lions. Second number is 5, is the number of running backs that went for 100 yards. It was a small group in Week 12. But let's talk about the 4 guys that were all added off the waiver wire and the success that they had. Spencer Ware, 114 yards and a score. Tevin Coleman, 110 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but still a very good game. Thomas Rawls, 21 carries, 81 yards and a touchdown. And in the case of Javoris Allen, Buck Allen didn't have a great game, only 84 yards from scrimmage, but he also got in the end zone. Very rare to see 4 guys all picked up off the waiver wire in the majority of the leagues, all go on to be RB2s or better in a single week. Kudos to all those gentlemen. Third number of the day is 11, as the number of wide receivers that went for 100 yards in Week 12. But that wasn't it. There was elite top-end stuff here. There were 4 guys that went for 150 yards. Sammy Watkins had 158 yards, a couple touchdowns. Watkins didn't have a catch in the second half. Only 9 of his yards from the 158 were after the catch. It was all run down there, I'm going to throw it to you, catch the ball, and he did that extremely well. Jeremy Maclin went for 9, 160 and 1, which might be the most shocking numbers we've seen all season. We don't see why else would the Chiefs ever have success, but again, Maclin absolutely lived up, breaking a string of very mediocre efforts for the previous month. The next guy was Jarvis Landry, and I told you folks, I predicted Jarvis Landry was the breakout player last week. He did that, 165 yards, a touchdown, 13 receptions, took advantage of a Jets defense that was minus Darrelle Revis. And then finally, Marcus Wheaton goes nuts. 9 catches, 201 yards, and a touchdown. The previous 9 games, Marcus Wheaton had 218 yards, and he went for 201 against Seattle. Seattle wanted to shut down Brown. They wanted to contain him and Martavis Bryant. For the most part, they did that, leaving Wheaton to run all over the place. Don't expect Wheaton to be a superstar. There'll be more on him in the waiver wire edition of Necessary Roughness this week. And then finally, the tight end position, 5 is the number of tight ends that went for 100 yards. Only 2 of them went for 85 yards and a touchdown. One of them, Rob Gronkowski, is probably out for 1 week, if not more, with his injured lower body. We don't know how much time he's going to miss. I'll talk about Scott Chandler as well in that waiver wire piece. But then the second tight end is Julius Thomas. Now, Julius Thomas went bonkers, had his best game of the season. He's up to 14 catches, 144 yards in the last 2 games. He scored a touchdown in each of those last 2 games. Problem with Thomas, and this is amazing, he's only had 1 game in his last 5 where he's got to 30 yards. He's startable. I get it. It's okay. You're in a 12-team league. You want to play him? Okay, go for it. But again, 1 game in 5 with 30 yards. A very low bar for success for Julius Thomas. This is Ray Flowers, Fantasy Alarm TV. You've been listening to Unnecessary Roughness. Don't forget to visit us, FantasyAlarm.com. The rankings will be up. They're free. Check it out, FantasyAlarm.com.